Lecture we will learn about Francis turbine. We would first see the different components of Francis turbine. The very first component which you can see is the scroll casing. As you can see, we are calling it scroll casing. That is nothing but the spiral casing. The area of the cross section of the scroll casing is decreasing. Now this casing is connected with the penstock. So from here the water enters. It comes from the dam, fine, and then it enters into the casing. So now the reason why we are having spiral casing is that the moment the water will start entering into the this passage over here, guide wheel, fine, so the water quantity will go on decreasing. So as the discharge will go on decreasing, at the same time we will go on decreasing the area also. So proportionate to the decrease in discharge, the area is also decreased, so that we should get a constant velocity throughout the flow passage in the spiral casing, so that the velocity at the inlet to the guide wheel everywhere should be same. And in order to do that, what we are doing is we are decreasing the area. So what happens is that as the discharge, now why discharge is decreasing, because the discharge portion is going here, na? Some, let's say delta q has gone here, then delta q has gone here. So this q which was here q, now it has become q minus 2 delta q. So q is decreasing, so at the same time we have to decrease the area, so that the velocity of the flow should remain constant, and so that the water which is entering at different peripheral points here, that should enter with the same velocity throughout, fine. So that is why we are using scroll casing. Then after that we are having guide wheel. Guide wheel, we are calling it wheel, but it is a stator. Basically it is a disc over which the blades are mounted. These blades are called as guide wheels, fine. As you can see, there is a pivot on the guide blades. Now this pivot, with the help of this pivot, you can swivel the guide vane in these two directions, fine, with the help of which we can regulate the flow. So the very first function of the guide vanes is nothing but to regulate the flow. We can control the flow, and that can be done with the help of a hand wheel or a governing mechanism. Then second function of guide vane is, as you can see, the area of flow is decreasing, so that decrease in area will increase the velocity, fine. So the velocity will increase, so a part of pressure will get converted into kinetic energy, and that is the another function which the guide vane is doing. So that means it is acting as a nozzle. And third function is to guide the water properly, so that it should be able to enter smoothly into the runner vane, fine. So that is another function. So these are the three functions of guide vane. Number one, regulate the flow. Number two, act as a nozzle. And number three, guide the water suitably into the runner vane, fine. Then third is the runner wheel, which is at the center, as you can see. And this is the shaft over which the runner is mounted, and that runner has got these runner blades, fine. These are the blades, fine. Now it is a inward flow turbine. Water enters at the outer radius, it comes out at the inner radius, and then it comes out axially, fine. So it comes out from here, water comes out from here at the center, fine. So it is a mixed flow turbine. Why we are calling it mixed flow turbine, that would be clear in the next slide, but here for the moment you can understand it like this, that water is entering radially, fine, and then it is coming out axially. So water is getting collected from everywhere, from here, from here, from here. Water is getting collected at the center, and then from center it is coming out through the draft tube, fine. That draft tube will be discussing later on, fine. So what is the job of runner vanes? Now these runner vanes are doing what they are. As you can see, their area is decreasing, so that decrease in area will do what? That decrease in area will increase the relative velocity, and that increase in relative velocity will decrease the pressure, and that decrease in pressure will be imparted to the wheel, and that wheel will start rotating and will be getting the reaction force. Second thing, what is happening is the radius is decreasing. Inlet radius is higher, exit radius is smaller, so u1 is higher than u2. So because of this also there will be centrifugal head that is being imparted to the wheel. So because of that also there will be a reaction force. So reaction force will be because of these two reasons, fine. Now we would let us see the this image also of Francis turbine. As you can see here, this is the casing portion, this is the guide wheel, guide vanes. From here water will enter, and then it will enter into the this runner vanes, and as you can see it is a mixed flow. It is radial as well as axial, and over here it is coming out axially into the draft tube. This passage is draft tube. Fine. So this is the casing, and now here you can see it is smaller, it is larger. Why? Because as you go inside the area is decreasing. It is a spiral casing. Fine. Then second thing, this is guide vane, and then this is the runner vane. Fine. Now guide vanes are also called as wicket gates. Fine. Then water finally discharge into the tail race. Fine. Draft tube we will learn later on in this lecture. Fine. So this we have learned: guide vanes, wicket gates. Now what is the job of runner blades? So runner blades are giving us two kinds of forces. One is impulse force, another is reaction force. Impulse force is because of the deflection of jet, that is because of the change in absolute velocity, v1 square minus v2 square upon 2. And reaction force, as I had discussed earlier, it is because of the change in radius, u1 square minus u2 square upon 2, and the change in area in the runner vane passages. Fine. So vr2 square minus vr1 square. So because of this there is a reaction force. Impulse is by default present. Fine. So this is I have explained already. As you can see, it is the inlet radius, it is the outlet radius. So u1 square is greater than u2 square. So you are getting centrifugal head, and or you can call it centripetal pressure, that is imparted to the wheel. Because of that there is a reaction force. And another is, as the area is decreasing, fine, the pressure will also decrease, and that decrease in pressure energy will be imparted to the wheel, and you will be getting increase in relative velocity, and that would also be responsible for the reaction force. Fine. The pressure energy is released. Fine. Now what is the work done? Work done can be given by this formula, m dot into vu1 u1 plus minus v2 u2 u2. But then here for maximum output we are taking alpha 2 as 90 degree, and for alpha 2 as 90 degree we know that vu2 is 0 for alpha 2 equal to 90 degree. So our formula will become w dot is equals to m dot into vu1 u1. What would be the efficiency formula? Rho q vu1 u1. Now what is rho q? Rho q is nothing but m dot, which is written here. Fine. u1 upon rho qgh is the hydraulic power which we are supplying, and this is the runner power which we are getting. Fine. So this is the formula, vu1 u1 upon gh. Degree of reaction is nothing but the parameter which measures the contribution of reaction force in the total force applied to the wheel. So this can be written like this also. As you can see here, total energy supplied by the water to the wheel minus the impulse effect, v1 square minus v2 square by 2. So if you remove the impulse effect, what you are getting is reaction effect. So in the numerator you are getting reaction force, and in the denominator you are getting the total force. This can also be written like this, u1 square minus u2 square. Instead of this, what you can write is u1 square minus u2 square by 2 plus vr2 square minus vr1 square by 2. So because of these two change in kinetic energies, we are getting the reaction force. So that is nothing but this numerator which we are shown. And so this is what it is. Now what is its importance? It is an important factor in the designing of blades of turbine. Right. So in the design of blades it is used, because we need to decide that how much reaction contribution we want. So accordingly we are designing the blades. So in that, degree of reaction is one of the important factors. Now the next thing is the draft tube. What is draft tube? Now draft tube is a diverging duct at the runner exit. It decreases the pressure at the runner exit below atmospheric, and thereby it increases the working head. It recovers a portion of kinetic energy which otherwise goes west. Fine. If draft tube is not filled, then if draft tube is not fitted, then water will be discharged at atmospheric pressure. Fine. With a high kinetic energy loss. Fine. Basically, why we are using draft tube is that, let us go back to this portion. Why we are using draft tube? Suppose if you don't use draft tube, what would happen? The water will come out from here directly, because it is radially getting collected here. It will be collected here. Fine. It is collected here, and then it is coming out into the atmosphere. So water will come out at what pressure? Water, just because it is coming in contact with atmosphere, water will come at atmospheric pressure. So that means delta P here will be low. Which delta P? Delta P is nothing but the pressure difference between the supply pressure and the exit pressure, that delta P will be low here. Why? Because the lower pressure is atmospheric only. But if you are using a draft tube, what happens? If you are using a draft tube will do what? It will start recovering the high kinetic energy. We are getting high kinetic energy over here, fine. So that will start getting converted into pressure. So here the pressure will become above atmospheric. So if pressure is atmospheric or above atmospheric here, then here it must be negative. So because of negative pressure, what would happen now? Delta P will increase, and that increase in delta P will increase the work output, fine. So that's why we are using the draft tube, fine. So we'll understand it in detail, fine. So that is what the function of draft tube. It decreases the pressure at the runner exit. If you are putting draft tube, automatically the pressure becomes negative at the runner exit, fine. It recovers the kinetic energy. See why kinetic energy is very high at the runner exit? Because of continuously there is a nozzle action, na? In guide when there is a nozzle action, velocity increases. In runner wheel also velocity increases. So because of that, the velocity is very high. So that high velocity will go west. Ultimately it would be a loss. So we would like to recover that by putting a draft tube. So when you put a draft tube, you are converting the kinetic energy into pressure energy, and that rise in pressure energy creates vacuum at the runner exit, and thereby it increases the power output. Another advantage of draft tube is that we can mount the turbine above the tail race, fine. Because by diverging we are able to discharge the water easily, and we are able to get negative pressure also at the runner exit, fine. So this is what the draft tube is. As you can see, this is the draft tube, fine. This is the tail race. At tail race, what is the pressure acting? At tail race, atmospheric pressure is acting. Now what is the condition? What is this? This is the runner exit, this is the turbine, fine. Now this is condition 2, state 2, this is state 3, exit. So what we'll do is we'll apply Bernoulli theorem between state 2 and state 3. So if you apply Bernoulli theorem, you are getting this: P2 by rho g plus V2 square by 2g plus Z2 is equals to P3 by rho g plus V3 square by 2g plus 0. Now why we are taking 0? Because we are taking this as datum. And HF, what is HF? HF is nothing but the frictional loss, fine. So this is the Bernoulli equation. Now why we are applying Bernoulli equation? Because we want to prove that the pressure at the exit of runner is below atmospheric. That is what we want to prove. That's why we are applying Bernoulli's theorem. Now just see what is P3 by rho g. Now P3 by rho g means pressure over here. That is nothing but the height over here plus the atmospheric pressure, fine. So that is written here: P3 by rho g is equals to PA by rho g plus Y, fine. Y is nothing but the level below tail race level, free surface, fine. So this we will put here, and when you will solve it, you will be getting P2 by rho g is equals to P3 by rho g minus Z2 minus V2 square minus V3 square by 2g minus HF. Now what is Z2? Z2 is nothing but the level difference between the turbine exit and the draft tube exit, fine. So when you further simplify it, what you get is that the pressure at the runner exit is less than atmospheric. Just see PA by rho g minus, can you see this minus sign? Minus this much quantity. So the pressure which is at runner exit is nothing but negative pressure, fine. What is HS? HS is nothing but this height which is between the runner exit and the tail race level, fine. So this you simplify and you can get this equation, and which itself proves that you are getting a negative pressure, indicates that P2 by rho g is negative pressure, fine. And that's why you are getting a negative pressure, and that's why there is a rise in work output, fine. Consequently we are getting a higher head, fine. So this finishes this topic. Now we would learn the degree of reaction and efficiency in the next lecture, right? Thank you.